Let's talk about something absolutely fundamental, fundamental to the plate in front of you, and really plates all around the world: cattle feed. It might
Mm,
sound, well, a bit simple, maybe even mundane, but when you dive into the sources you've shared, you quickly realize this is a massive, dynamic, and actually incredibly sophisticated global industry.
it really is. I mean,
Yeah.
the sources paint this picture of a market valued at, what, $93.5 billion right now in 2024? That's
And it's
huge.
not standing still either.
Not at all.
Cognitive market research projects that value growing to over $124 billion by 2032. That's a compound annual growth rate of 3.6%.
Yeah, and that kind of steady, significant growth, well, it isn't happening by accident.
Definitely not.
It really signals just how critical this whole industry is to the global food system and, how much it's evolving.
So the mission for this deep dive, based on the sources you put in front of us, is really to figure out why that growth is happening.
Right.
We want to understand what gives the major players their edge
Right.
and uncover where the big opportunities might lie, whether you're a giant already or maybe looking to get into the market.
Exactly.
Consider this your essential briefing, cutting through the noise on a market that, well, literally helps feed the world.
Let's unpack it then.
Okay, let's start with the absolute basics. Why does cattle feed matter so profoundly, especially, today?
Well, at its core, cattle feed is basically the engine. It provides that concentrated energy, the precise balance of proteins, minerals, vitamins, everything the animal needs to really thrive.
It's about delivering optimal nutrition.
Exactly. Optimal nutrition.
And that optimal nutrition isn't just about, like, keeping the animal alive. It's about performance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things like growth rates, reproductive success, how well they fight off disease.
Precisely. It all ties back to the feed. And as the sources really highlight, the biggest why driving this market expansion is pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
There's just rising global demand for meat and dairy products.
More people wanting more protein. Simple as that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that means you need more livestock. But importantly, there's also this escalating focus from producers and consumers too, actually, on enhancing animal health, maximizing productivity, and doing it all efficiently. You just can't meet that demand or these higher standards with, suboptimal nutrition.
The sources point out a big shift, too, towards more intensive livestock farming, especially in places where demand is really surging, like emerging economies.
Yes, exactly. And that shift is crucial because these intensive systems, they rely heavily on scientifically formulated feeds that are precisely engineered to achieve specific outcomes: faster growth, higher milk yield, better feed conversion.
So it's moved way beyond just giving cows some hay.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
We're talking about a massive evolution from, traditional feeding methods to these complex commercial compound feeds.
Yeah.
And then you've got the feed additives.
Ah, the additives. These sound like the performance enhancers of the feed world.
They are, in a way. Things like enzymes to improve digestion, maybe probiotics for gut health, other additives to boost immunity. Some can even help reduce methane emissions.
Really? Methane?
Yeah. So the innovation here, combined with a deeper scientific understanding of animal nutrition and health, well, it's leading to highly differentiated products. It's all about getting more value, more efficiency out of every single pound of feed.
Okay, that makes it clear why the market's growing and the function of the feed itself. But in a market this huge, how do companies actually compete? What sets a leader apart from the rest?
Well, the sources are quite clear on the key criteria.
Yeah.
Obviously, number one is the nutritional performance of the feed. Does it actually do what it promises for the animal?
Right. The results have to be there on the farm.
Definitely. But beyond that, it's about the diversity and specialization of their formulations. It's really not a one-size-fits-all market. You need feeds tailored specifically for dairy cows versus beef cattle, for animals out on pasture versus those in confined operations, maybe even formulations adapted to regional climates or locally available ingredients.
So being able to offer a really customized solution is key then.
Precisely. And raw material sourcing is also critical. You have to ensure quality and consistency. Plus, absolutely vital, strict adherence to international safety, traceability, and quality standards. You need to know what's in the feed and where it came from.
I noticed the sources put a lot of emphasis now on sustainability as a competitive factor. That wasn't always the case, was it?
No, it's rapidly moving from maybe a nice-to-have to a must-have. Leaders are actively developing formulations that help farmers lower their environmental footprint.
How so?
Well, think feeds designed specifically to reduce methane output, or improve feed conversion ratios, so you use less feed per unit of meat or milk produced, or feeds that support long-term animal health, which reduces waste. It's about contributing positively to the whole agricultural ecosystem.
That directly connects the feed to the farmer's bottom line and their environmental impact. Makes sense.
Exactly. And underpinning all of this is cutting-edge R&D. Innovation, particularly in those functional additives we mentioned, the enzymes, probiotics, amino acids, even things like essential oils, that's a major differentiator.
So they're investing heavily in the science.
Huge investments. Trying to understand nutrient metabolism at a much deeper level and develop feeds that deliver very specific functional benefits.
The sources also talked about leveraging to digital platforms. How does that fit into being competitive in animal feed? Seems a bit removed.
It's becoming increasingly integrated, actually. This is where the tech side really comes in. It's not just about the physical bag of feed anymore. Leading companies are integrating digital tools.
Like apps and stuff?
Yeah, things that allow farmers to monitor their herds in real time, use apps to develop tailored feeding programs based on specific data points like milk yield or weight gain, and even access technical services remotely. It adds this layer of data-driven precision.
Ah, okay. So it helps farmers make smarter, faster decisions that directly impact their efficiency and, well, their profit.
Absolutely. And tying back to sustainability, the sources also mention a focus on sustainable sourcing for the ingredients themselves and integrating circular agriculture practices.
Like using byproducts.
Exactly. Using byproducts from other industries as feed components where appropriate. That meets regulatory demands and also appeals to a more conscious consumer base further down the food chain.
So to kind of sum up what makes a leader, it's not just having a good feed product. It's offering solutions that are effective, efficient, sustainable, highly customized, and increasingly backed up by technology and strong technical support.
That's pretty much the blueprint for success in this complex market, according to the sources, yeah.
Which brings us neatly to the titans currently dominating this space. Who are the top 5 manufacturing companies identified in the material?
Okay, so based on the market share figures in the descriptions we have, the top 5 are Cargill Inc., ADM, ForFarmers Inc., Heus, and Land O'Lakes Inc.
Right. Let's start with the biggest fish, Cargill. 13.8% market share. What's their core strength, their strategy?
Cargill leverages its sheer scale as this global agribusiness powerhouse. Their strength isn't just offering feeds, concentrates, and supplements. It's how they integrate their vast network and, importantly, their data capabilities.
Data-driven nutrition.
Exactly. They use advanced R&D and that data across their massive global footprint to constantly refine product performance for animal health, for productivity. And they push this through well-known brands like Nutrena and Provimi, always with an eye on supporting sustainable practices globally.
Okay. And ADM, close behind at 11.7%. What's their defining characteristic?
ADM's strength really comes from their deep integration in the value chain. They go from ingredient processing right through to feed formulation and nutrition science. They build their products on extensive research metabolism, rumen health, nutrient absorption.
Very science-focused.
Very much so. The insight is their focus on customizing blends based on that rigorous science, plus their ability to ensure traceability and sustainable sourcing globally. They often partner with universities and farms to pilot new innovations, too.
Then we have ForFarmers, strong mainly in Europe, right? 8.4% share.
That's right. ForFarmers is a dominant force in the European sector. Netherlands, UK, Germany especially. Their key is providing comprehensive nutritional solutions and specialized feeds, often growing through strategic acquisitions and partnerships.
And their unique angle.
It seems to be their emphasis on field consultancy and their own proprietary nutrition models. Basically, sophisticated algorithms for precision feeding, tightly integrated with on-farm services. Big focus on resource efficiency and animal well-being there.
Okay. Heus is next, 7.3%. They have a significant global footprint.
Yeah, Heus has successfully built a really broad global reach, excelling in both established and emerging markets across different continents. Their competitive edge seems to be tailoring nutrition solutions by blending global R&D with deep local knowledge.
So global science, local application.
Precisely. The insight is their focus on practical, hands-on expertise combined with science to support efficiency and high productivity. They also invest heavily in infrastructure and farmer training, particularly in developing regions, helping build up those markets.
And rounding out the top 5, Land O'Lakes, largely North American, 5.5% share.
Correct. Land O'Lakes operates primarily in North America through its Purina Animal Nutrition division. Their strength is providing value-added solutions, things like texturized feeds, supplements, calf starters, and leveraging their strong farmer-owned cooperative model.
Closer to the farmer, maybe.
You could say that. The insight here is their investment in their own proprietary research farms and labs. They use data-driven strategies developed very close to the farmer to optimize herd goals, yield, body condition, reproduction, all supported by localized technical services and integrated livestock management tools.
That gives us a really clear picture of how the current leaders operate. But interestingly, the sources also identify companies that are rapidly emerging, positioning themselves as significant challengers.
Yes, they do. They specifically highlight Nutrico, Alltech, Chiron Pakpan Group, Purina Animal Nutrition again, and Godrej Agrovet in this category.
Okay, hold on. Purina Animal Nutrition is listed here again, separate from Land O'Lakes. What's the distinction the source seems to be making there?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems the source is emphasizing Purina Animal Nutrition's specific momentum as a brand and division that's aggressively challenging competitors within the U.S. market itself.
Oh, okay.
Highlighting its focus on performance feeds, its strong distribution network, continued R&D investment, and particularly its advanced digital tools for direct cattle performance monitoring. So they're pointing out its active role as a challenger, not just its parent company's overall position.
Got it. So they're already big, but still acting like an up-and-comer in some ways. How about Nutrico, then, from the Netherlands?
Right. Nutrico is challenging through its deep expertise in specialized nutrition, including its strong aquafeed business via its Tro Nutrition subsidiary. They focus heavily on innovation, addressing efficiency, health, and again, sustainability.
Sustainability seems key for the challengers, too.
Definitely. The source points to Nutrico's efforts in reducing the carbon footprint of feed and their aggressive expansion, particularly across Asia and Latin America, as key challenger moves.
Alltech from the U.S. is mentioned, too. How are they shaking things up?
Alltech really differentiates itself through advanced nutritional technologies, particularly using fermentation-based products. Think specialized yeasts or microbes, creating ingredients that are highly bioavailable or improve gut function.
So high-tech ingredients.
Exactly. Their challenge comes from this very research-driven approach, focusing on niche areas like trace mineral management and gut health. They create unique products with a global reach: North America, Asia-Pacific, Europe.
Now, Chiron Pakpan Group in Thailand, that's a massive name in agri-food.
Huge. As this integrated agri-food giant, primarily based in Asia, they're challenging through, well, sheer scale, frankly.
Yeah.
Heavy investment in precision farming and tech within their own massive system, offering competitive pricing and providing customized solutions across their vast network.
And expanding rapidly.
Extremely aggressive expansion, especially in major markets like India, Vietnam, and China. That makes them a really formidable disruptor in those regions.
And finally, Godrej Agrovet in India.
Godrej Agrovet is a really strong regional challenger, rapidly expanding in India and nearby markets. Their key advantage is leveraging deep local knowledge to create cost-effective, nutrient-optimized products specifically tailored for that region. Their focus on sustainable sourcing and farmer education is helping them build significant market share against established multinationals in one of the world's biggest agricultural markets.
So broadly speaking, these are the companies using maybe innovation, specific regional strength, tech integration, and often cost effectiveness to really shake up the established hierarchy.
Exactly. It shows there isn't just one path. There are multiple ways to effectively challenge the leaders in this market.
Which leads us nicely to the final section from the sources. If you're a new company, or maybe a smaller player just looking to grow, how do you even begin to find a foothold against these giants and these aggressive challengers? It sounds daunting.
It is competitive, no doubt. But the sources provide a pretty clear roadmap, actually. They emphasize strategies like really focusing on sustainable nutrition, developing highly localized formulations, and integrating tightly with smart farming practices.
Okay, what does nutritionally optimized formulations mean in practice for someone new? How do they prove that?
It means don't just try to make a generic feed. You need to focus intensely on creating formulations that are proven, ideally through your own research or strong partnerships, to enhance very specific outcomes, things like maximizing yield or weight gain, measurably improving overall animal health, and crucially, minimizing the feed conversion ratio, or FCR.
The FCR, how much feed it takes to produce a unit of meat or milk.
Exactly. A lower FCR means more efficiency, more profit for the farmer. That's a tangible benefit.
And innovation in feed additives, is that a viable way for a smaller player to differentiate?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Developing novel probiotics, maybe prebiotics, or unique blends of trace minerals can offer distinct benefits, perhaps reducing the need for antibiotics or improving animal welfare in ways current market offerings don't quite address. It's about finding those unmet needs or offering a demonstrably better functional outcome.
The sources also mentioned cost effectiveness. How can a new company possibly compete on price against, say, Cargill?
Well, it's not necessarily about being the absolute cheapest, but about offering clear value. This can be achieved sometimes by smartly utilizing locally sourced raw materials that often lowers transport costs and appeals to local markets, or by adopting circular economy models.
Using byproducts again.
Yes, incorporating safe and nutritious byproducts from other local agricultural or food processing industries into feed formulations. It reduces waste and can significantly lower your raw material costs. Efficient manufacturing is also obviously key.
And that integration with smart farming tools, that sounds potentially expensive for a startup.
It doesn't necessarily mean developing the tools yourself. It could mean ensuring your feed offering works seamlessly with or enhances existing or emerging digital systems. Maybe providing data on how your feed impacts performance that can be easily plugged into monitoring apps farmers already use, or designing feeds specifically for automated feeding systems. It adds value by making the farmer's overall operation smarter and demonstrating a clear ROI on your feed.
Makes sense. Geographically, where are the biggest opportunities for newcomers?
The sources explicitly point to the immense growth potential still available in emerging economies. Think Asia-Pacific, Africa, and Latin America. These markets are often less saturated by the biggest global players, and deep local knowledge is absolutely paramount. Forming strong regional partnerships can be a vital strategy for new entrants there.
And focusing on niche segments, like organic.
Exactly. Instead of trying to compete head-on with ADM or Cargill across the board, find a specific niche. Maybe it is certified organic cattle feed, or specialized feeds for rare breeds, or feeds formulated explicitly for specific regional pasture conditions. Dominating a well-defined niche can be much more achievable than fighting in the broad market initially.
And again, sustainability comes up as a core strategy, even for new players.
It seems foundational now. New companies really have an opportunity to build sustainability into their DNA right from day one. We're talking eco-friendly production processes, maybe aiming for carbon-neutral manufacturing down the line, and definitely developing feed formulations specifically designed to reduce environmental impact, like significantly lowering methane emissions. It's not just a marketing angle. It has to be part of the core business model to resonate.
So for new players, it boils down to combining maybe a technological savvy, a focused regional or niche approach, a genuine commitment to sustainability, and ensuring their offering delivers clear, measurable value and efficiency back to the farmer.
That strategic blend, according to the sources, offers the most promising path to successfully carve out a space in this very competitive landscape.
Wow, okay. We've really covered the entire journey of the cattle feed market then, from its, fundamental importance and just staggering size to the forces driving its growth, the sophisticated strategies of the current leaders, the disruptive approaches of these emerging challengers, and finally, the clear opportunities for anyone looking to enter this vital industry.
It truly underscores that this isn't just some basic commodity market anymore. It's high-tech, it's globally connected, and it's becoming increasingly complex.
And the source material leaves us with a really powerful final thought about its future, doesn't it? The path forward for the cattle feed market seems intrinsically tied not just to feeding more animals, but to genuinely supporting global food security, enhancing animal welfare standards worldwide, and crucially, actively reducing the environmental footprint of livestock farming.
Yes, and the key point is that won't happen in isolation. The sources strongly suggest achieving this future will require unprecedented collaboration, real partnership between feed manufacturers, technology developers, researchers, farmers themselves, and regulators. It's a collective challenge, really, to build a truly resilient and hopefully more inclusive global food ecosystem.
A really critical perspective on a market that, one way or another, touches all of us. You've now got the essential deep dive into the world of cattle feed,